the logical next step, of course, is to test it on humans, right?
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm scared. I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, welcome back everyone to the Chemist Confessions podcast. I am Gloria.
I'm Victoria.
And this is a human conversation on all the skincare science we talk about on the daily. And we're back together.
Hey.
Sorry guys for taking an unexpected little break last week, but we are back and we're together and we're going to celebrate.
All right. Well, I didn't open it.
Oh, me either. All right.
Excuse us.
Oh, jeez. Oh, crap. Oh my god. It feels like the first time in 1,000 years that neither of us are pregnant.
Yes, I feel like we've hit a milestone where we're like finally out of the woods.
Yeah, our introduction used to be something, conversation, skincare science over a couple beers, and then that kind of died down.
Died awkwardly.
Yes, but we're gonna celebrate today that we're back together in the same place post glorious maternity leave with a beer. But the topic at hand today, following up last episode on azelaic acid, is we're gonna talk about azelaic acid's little derivative friend.
Cousin thing.
Yeah. I guess we'll just dive right into it. And what is PAD? That is potassium azeloyl diglycinate.
Well, I mean, ultimately, it's azelaic acid's derivative. And if you're wondering why this thing even exists, it's because azelaic acid is a formulation nightmare. Mm-hmm. The reason why it's a formulation nightmare is because it requires a very high amount to get any sort of results.
15-20%.
Mm-hmm. And at that high amount in formulations, you usually get a lot of grit. Doesn't actually quite solubilize. And long story short, it's just not really ideal. And so for the benefits that it has been linked to, it's only natural that the industry tries to find a much more formulation friendly alternative, hence PAD.
Since azelaic acid became so popular, we've gotten a lot of questions about when are you two going to come up with an azelaic acid product? And I always wonder, I'm like, is it kosher or is it appropriate to be overly honest and be like, we don't want to work with it. It just really sucks.
Yeah, and I think like it's not, to be completely honest, I think for us knowing we feel like there are solutions out there.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't be that fun of a project. It would kind of just be like a Me Too product.
Yeah, 100%.
Just because with that amount of active needed, it doesn't leave room for a lot of play for other opportunities. Like we like how every product of ours can have it has a little quirk, a little fun moment, like can be used multiple ways, has a really cool active profile, has actives that just aren't really offered or have been formulated with. And honestly, with azelaic acid, just can't really do much. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just not very fulfilling for us.
So PAD, potassium azeloyl diglycinate, was basically born because of, fellow chemists like us that's like, azelaic acid. We'll put the structures up on the screen, but you can see that it's basically azelaic acid with 2 glycine groups at the end, and that greatly enhances the solubility. In fact,
a lot.
Yeah, so azelaic acid, if you look up solubility, it's basically you can dissolve a pinch into a bucket, but PAD can easily be dissolved up to 30-40%, and it's a complete solution. None of that white gunky suspension paste. It's actually fully soluble. And because of this, you'll hear a lot of claims like you don't need as much PAD and it's so easy to work with, so wonderful. So we are gonna actually dive into the data here. When PAD was first created, they actually looked at it in vitro as the first step and showed that it does have tyrosinase inhibition properties, which is linked with, treating hyperpigmentation. But azelaic acid is such a prolific dude that does so many things for skin. So we're going to take a look at the data to see how does it compare to azelaic acid in the realm of acne, hyperpigmentation, and rosacea. Or does it do anything at all?
Okay, let's take a break.
OMG, you heard it here first. Blank Slate Cleanser is finally coming back in stock. It's coming 4th of July weekend, and it's looking a little bit different. It really has been a very long time, and we are so sorry. And this is because it's been through a little bit of a glow up. We have finally graduated from the original pump bottle, yes, into a flip cap bottle that is fully recyclable. So no more jammed, leaky pumps that we cannot tell you to just toss in the recycling bin.
Yeah.
And we're very excited about this.
Yep. But aside from that, we don't want you guys to worry. It's still going to be the same great formula that you guys love. This is generally low foam. This has been through our lovely Chemist Group product incubator to really find that sweet spot between gentle and powerful enough to remove even daily sunscreen. This has been such a saga, not only from a packaging side, but also from a formulation side, because you know us, we always like to tinker to see if we can make it even better. Mm-hmm. And we spent
a lot of time,
almost embarrassing amount of time seeing if we could make this better. And somehow, even through multiple Chemist Crew rounds, which thank you guys for sticking it out with us. The original still
won every single time. We're like, all right, we heard you guys, so we're keeping the same formula.
I'm like dumbfounded in a way sometimes when we think about it. But yeah, so honestly, we're really proud, and we really hope you guys enjoy the new design. And we should also mention, with this new look, this is the start of Chemist Confessions product facelift, where we are trying to improve the packaging, our initiative into being more earth-friendly in general. With our formulas, that's always been really difficult because our formulas are very sensitive. They do require some packaging prowess, and that doesn't always make it the most sustainable. But we are super proud of this bottle. Yeah, so if you have been an old fan of Blank Slate, or you're really curious to try this version, it's been sold out
five times.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's a good problem to have, but honestly, sometimes we're just mortified responding to all these emails like, we promise coming back soon. Two more months.
Yeah, so if you have been itching to try or have been waiting for it, please definitely sign up for the waitlist, which is going to be on the product page of Blank Slate. The link is below, and I guarantee you will be the first to know. So thank you guys for your patience. Oh my gosh. That's a huge amount of patience with Blank Slate.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. And we're back. Okay. PAD. Derivatives. I will say we decided to do the azelaic acid series because someone commented on a YouTube video asking specifically about this derivative, and I will be honest, that wasn't the first time someone's asked us about it, and we were kind of avoiding the topic because we were like, derivatives, sometimes they don't have anything for us to talk about. It's very awkward.
It just wouldn't make for a very interesting episode. It would be very short, and you would not leave feeling very satisfied. So, but this time we're going to go through the data.
Yes.
We're going to try to capture it based on the skin benefits that azelaic acid is known for. We are going to warn you guys that this is one of those episodes that probably the data pales in comparison to things like retinoids. But let's start off in the realm of rosacea.
We're just going to open by saying that this is the best paper we're going to share with you guys today. So in this study, they looked at 5% PAD with 1% hydroxypropyl chitosan, which is probably not a very familiar ingredient to you guys. It's not there for active purposes per se. This is a gentle film former. People believe you can use it to have skin protective properties. The great thing about this study is that the main active is 5% PAD. They tested against a placebo. What's really cool is they really want to test against a placebo, but they also want to save some money on the testing front. So 28 patients with rosacea got the 5% PAD serum, whereas 14 people got the placebo. They're like, chop, chop, go, go.
That's unusual.
Yeah, they're like, We only have budget for like 42 people.
Literally no more budget.
Yeah. They
Interesting. That's the first I think I've seen that.
Yeah, me too. I was like, huh. Well, I guess when your budget is only so big, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
They used the treatment for 28 days. What's interesting is they looked at it at day 28, but also followed up at day 42, so 2 weeks after treatment have stopped. They looked at erythema with a mexometer, which is basically just an instrument to quantify the redness. And they showed that across different zones on face, which if you're prone to redness, you'll know that certain areas of skin can have more severe redness than others.
Yeah.
But across all these different zones, like the right cheek, left cheek, and the chin, the 5% PAD cream was able to decrease. Across all different zones on face, redness significantly decreased after 28 days of treatment.
We'll also put the before and after pictures up here. I gotta be honest, I don't love these before and after pictures, mainly because it looks like a homeboy got a tan in 28 days.
Yeah, that's usually the tough thing, or one of the bigger red flags that Victoria and I sometimes notice with studies. Is that this person looks like they rocked out on a beach for 28 days, which may impact the results.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we will share them nonetheless. Additionally, they also did look at hydration as well and did see an improvement. I did want to call out that you guys might be wondering about the concentration. So 5% obviously is significantly less than the 15 to 20% azelaic acid. Most likely this makes sense because, with greater solubility, they are expecting better bioavailability for your skin, and hence they feel that you wouldn't need as much. However, for us it's really difficult to suggest. We can only base our recommendations on the clinical data. But ultimately the best way to know would be based on a comparison study against azelaic acid. And I don't know if we're going to ever see one, I'll be honest.
Probably not. But I will say the reason why we decided to share this rosacea study first is because we really do still feel like this is one of the best studies available for PAD, because ultimately it is bench against a placebo and it's not using any other actives. For
sure.
So PAD does something, but does it also tackle acne and also hyperpigmentation?
Let's move on to a not as great study, and we'll tell you why. All right, so there was a study. This is definitely done by one of the PAD suppliers. They are wanting to test 3% concentration, and they're looking for any benefits against sebum production and hyperpigmentation. Gloria found a gem of a line that we should share. You guys will enjoy this, and you should immediately know that they're leaning one way. So the line is: potassium azeloyl diglycinate is a soluble azelaic acid derivative that maintains all the cosmetic properties of the original molecule, but improves upon its technical characteristics.
All the cosmetic properties. It comes off as a very bold claim, and they may be a little biased.
Yeah.
And I have to say that Victoria and I don't share more supplier data very often. We usually look for studies done on a bigger scale or on published papers.
Academia.
Yeah, and this is the reason why supplier data can be helpful for cosmetic chemists, but sometimes the scale is just at the proof of concept stage.
Yes.
And this should tell you why. And the reason why we're sharing this one here is because there's not that much else to share on PAD. So we gotta. Yeah. They tested, first of all, they looked at two different studies. The first one is on sebum reduction. They looked at a 3% solution of PAD applied to 5 volunteers. Wow. We have gone from the
my subjects.
We're talking about statistic analysis of can't do it. There's no point to even find the average on these numbers. But 5 volunteers, and they applied it to the back of their hands, and they basically looked at these spots that the volunteers have on the back of their hands.
How much do you think it's just like their lab mates?
Yeah, it's like me going to Victoria. I was like, hey, listen, you want to test this thing that I
just round up the cubicle.
And the before and after picture, just me taking phone pictures of Victoria. This is the equivalent of that.
That's what it feels like. And like the fact that it's the back of their hands versus face, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first study is on hyperpigmentation and the second one is on sebum reduction. So in the hyperpigmentation study, it's 3% 5 volunteers on the back of their hand where they track certain spots and the size thereof. And we'll put the chart up there. They made a very, very insightful Microsoft Excel chart up here, and they looked at skin luminosity as a whole, and they also looked at certain spots tracked specifically. I think you will see that PAD was able to improve luminosity compared to the non-treated spot. You won't see any error bars here because, again, the sample size is 5 people, and there is no such thing as statistical significance when there's 5 people.
And the other thing that I'm like, okay, this is definitely that like might do something, need to keep testing, because even the aspect of luminosity, that measurement, I feel like it needs to be looked into. It's actually can be quite different than the Mossy score that you typically heard about. So that's why I'm like, okay, could do something.
Yeah, if you look at the y-axis, Victoria, that's such a good point. It goes from luminosity of 53 to 61.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. So when they say, oh, untreated skin luminosity increased from 57 to 60, will you see a visible difference? I'm a tad skeptical.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the other thing I was going to mention too is, obviously it looks like treated skin does great. So it does something.
Yeah.
But treated spot if you're going from like a roughly 56 to a 57-ish, I'm kind of like, okay.
Yeah,
so
little rough.
Yeah, so I think this is, okay, let's keep digging.
Yeah, so they claim, generally speaking, a 12% improvement in hyperpigmentation. Again, 10% on an instrument measurement is But I will say the sebum normalizing efficacy aspect of this is slightly more interesting. They use another 3% solution of PAD on yet another 5 volunteers on their face.
Hey-o.
Yay! And they used it twice a day for 3 weeks. And at the end of the study, they measured the levels of sebum on skin using a sebometer, and they were able to show that across different zones on face, so forehead, nose, and chin, sebum levels were reduced roughly on average about 30% from initial levels.
Okay.
I would say tiny, but when you're talking about 30% reduction, the confidence level of it doing something is much higher.
For sure. Okay. I will say I think this kind of makes sense to me because a lot of the azelaic acid data, the good ones are actually in the acne realm.
Yes.
So in this sense, it does give me hope. So what's the worst clinical study, Gloria?
All right, guys. Last but not least, I fished out a clinical study.
Sad. I feel like I'm already sad.
It's just too entertaining to not share. And by the way, this is basically the end of the journey on PAD clinicals that I could fish out because so on bigger molecules, Victoria and I often have to pick and choose what studies we share, which once in a while we'll get feedback like, you didn't share about that study. The episode's only so long.
Yeah.
This is not it. This one is like, I have to share this one so it's not a 15-minute long episode. But I still think it's pretty amusing, and there's some takeaways. So this study is actually kind of extensive because they started out on mouse model skins where they tested 5% PAD against a negative control with no actives whatsoever, a positive control in a vitamin C cream. I don't know what vitamin C, I don't know what percentage, just vitamin C. And on the mouse model, they used a induced erythema test and basically applied the different test creams and then measure how big the diameter of the erythema and also the intensity of the damage through 7 days. We'll put the data up there, and the general takeaway is that it seemed like it performed on par with, say, with the positive control of vitamin C in terms of the intensity erythema that's taken down.
Okay.
But if you look at the diameter, it seems like PAD was the best in terms of reducing the size of
by day 7. Yeah.
by day 7. And you're like, very cool, very cool. And then the logical next step, of course, is to test it on humans, right?
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm scared. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So then they decide to take this very, very promising 5% PAD cream and they test it for skin hydration over 7 days.
Why?
And get this, they are very, very, very sweet because they share the formula that they tested with us.
3, 5, and 7. Okay.
Yeah, they actually share the actual formula that they tested. And in the formula, they have 6.2% petrolatum, 13.8% mineral oil.
Wait, for hydration?
1.5% paraffin, and 2.5% glycerin.
Sorry, I like how glycerin's glycerin.
Glycerin.
With an S.
Yes.
Oh, what a waste of time.
Yes.
And
So the
effort.
conclusion is, the PAD cream does improve hydration. I'd be shocked if you don't improve hydration with a 6.2% Vaseline cream.
Also, I like how the QS is vanilla essence. They're so random.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just had to share the study of sometimes you...
It's so sad because there's clearly promise in the mouse model. And then they decide we don't believe in this. Let's just do a hydration study. We got to wrap this up.
Yeah, and add some glycerin and some like Vaseline to it, so it's gotta hydrate. But then the conclusion is like PAD is very promising for skin barrier treatment.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm like, I almost wish they like save some of the money and then just put it into a longer test, look for any other indication, and then the in vivo part of it also wasn't placebo controlled, so it wasn't even more hydrating than just Vaseline. So yeah.
You know what's funny is like I feel like, okay, this is like summertime is the time that I watch a lot of like trashy TV. So with Love Island and things like that, I can't help but like scheme and wonder like what grad student got offed on this project. Like what happened that they just had to just wrap this up so quickly and just like whatever, just like do a hydration study and be done with this so that we can get this over with.
Yeah, and the crazy part is like the mouse model studies, those aren't cheap.
No.
So it's
what
like
a
you
waste.
do all this and then you end on a hydration study. But yes, this concludes.
Also, I just gotta say this must not be this has to be a foreign study because like mineral oil is spelled with 2 I's, like Vaseline doesn't have an E, like
paraffin's 1F.
I don't know what's happening. So like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Actually, I think this was done in Indonesia. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it is one of the
that
foreign
makes sense.
studies.
So I was like, oh, sad days.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
fine.
and then there's one more study that I found, but I will not even go into details because it's on hyperpigmentation.
Ooh.
And the test cream tests with tranexamic acid and niacinamide in combination with PAD. So I'm sitting here like, I don't know what that tells me. So,
Against a placebo?
nope.
Oh,
Yeah.
well then. I guess we'll move on.
And this wraps up all the studies I found on PAD. So to answer you guys' question, what does it do? We were more confident in the maybe soothing category. I don't know if I would say, oh yeah, it's great for rosacea, because I ultimately for rosacea, especially if the severity is on the higher side, definitely seek help with a derm. This is probably not powerful enough.
I guarantee no derm is prescribing PAD.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say hyperpigmentation confidence level is dirt low. No idea if it really does anything. And the sebum control is interesting. So if you're on like if you're on other really powerful acne actives, maybe it's a support ingredient. But azelaic acid is positioned sometimes as an acne active. This is definitely not it.
I think this is one of those where it's like maybe the opportunity is more like, we can get into this later when we talk about products, but sometimes azelaic acid's initial stinging can be a lot for some, especially when you're on a pretty rigorous routine. So in that sense, I'm like, I can see an opportunity here for this one, especially because they're using it at lower concentrations. But okay, we'll discuss.
Yeah,
in the next section.
So that's
take a break.
Those are the studies we found, and it's time to take a break.
It's the Animal Fun Fact Corner. We gotta talk about it. All right, Gloria.
Today is my turn.
What are we talking about?
It's gonna be short and sweet.
Hey.
Because, we a couple weeks ago, or at this point maybe a couple months ago, we shared that woodpeckers, their tongue wraps around.
No one can forget that imagery.
Yep, their tongue wraps around their brain
to
help protect them from the impact of pecking wood.
Okay.
And of course, naturally, your train of thought is, well, I wonder what other birds do with their tongues.
Naturally.
Who doesn't think about
As people are showering, this is what they're wondering in there.
Are woodpeckers unique in that department? Whoa. Today we are talking about the hummingbird. I also thought about hummingbirds because there's one that visits my yard regularly, and we have a hummingbird feeder now.
After learning a little bit about them, every time I see them, I'm like, those guys are addicts. They look insane. Gotta get my fix. I gotta get my fix.
Sugar.
Yeah.
Yep. So hummingbirds, as you guys all know, they are teeny tiny birds that sustain themselves on nectar and sugar water, and they also have a very long tongue. It's forked, actually. People think, I think people used to think that they suck up the nectar, which is not true. It's almost a mechanism that's almost cat-like, because there's like
they do scoop.
Yeah, they have a fork at the end of their tongue, and on the hooks, there are these little grooves.
That's so weird.
Yeah, so they can just poke their tongue at the nectar and will pull out the liquid with these grooves into and to help them get into, say, flower, like dig in deep and get the nectar. It's very long. The tongue is it can extend up to, I think, 3 times the length of their beak or something like that. And of course, where do you tuck a tongue?
Yeah, I was like, where does that go? Those things are tiny.
Yeah. So their tongue wraps around their eyeball. So when they retract, and they retract up to like something like an insane amount of times a minute. Okay. So it just like velcros or it goes around their eye and just goes
like a fruit roll up.
Yes, fruit roll up behind the eyes.
Foot by the foot, fruit by the foot, right? Okay. I gotta be honest Gloria has a picture to share with you guys, but the thing that is like the weirdest to me is that the tongue only goes through one nostril.
Oh, actually, yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's not a balance thing.
No, it's not symmetrical. Wow, okay.
Yeah, but they're super adorable. I mean, the main thing I want to share is the tongue because it's really weird. But I did also read that, their nests are super cute. Some of the smaller hummingbirds, their eggs are only like the size of a pea or like a lima bean, which you can imagine.
So small.
It's super cute. And then they actually build their nest with they just pick off spider webs and stuff like that to tie everything together. Yeah, it's like their nest can be as small as the size of a fist. There's 300 different hummingbird species, but they all like using spider webs to like bind everything together.
Very cool.
Yep. So that's it.
Hummingbirds. Right. Next time you guys see a hummingbird, y'all will think differently.
Yeah, you'll know where that tongue comes from. And
they are freaks.
Yes. And we'll include a slow-mo video on YouTube that links out to hummingbirds eating. The slow-mo videos are really fascinating. So.
Yay! Hummingbird.
That's it.
All right. I guess it's time. Let's talk about some products.
Yes. So, again, who is PAD for? Based on available data, we would say that it's recommended for mild rosacea or people with sensitive skin. It's a good combo therapy for acne, maybe hyperpigmentation, but we'll say that PAD is definitely it's not a superstar like azelaic acid is. And I think Victoria makes a really good point that it's a great support ingredient to try if you hate all the azelaic acid formulas.
Which is fair. Those formulas are not great.
I can't use them. I really don't like almost any azelaic acid products out there because it's drying. It does sting. and sometimes like it's so gunky it pills.
Yeah, fair. And so I think if I were to be honest, I would rank this in kind of that third tier. You guys might hear we'll talk about like the main squeeze in your routine, right? Then we've got the best supporting actors, right? Best supporting actors for you guys. And then I think this is that third tier. It's kind of like a nice to have.
Right.
You know, if you feel like you're having a little bit of FOMO and it's just not working for you, azelaic acid doesn't work for you, then this is kind of that third one. And you're like, okay, I've got some room.
Right.
I can try this out for a period of time and see if I see any results or it's helping. I think that's the place for it in my mind. Yeah. So, yeah.
Interesting enough, the PAD product landscape is kind of weird. So, based on the studies, 3% to 5% is the key. You can get a really large range, and the products that use PAD with a known percentage tend to be way higher than that. So, Beauty Geek has an APAD 20%.
Yeah.
Well, that's like azelaic acid levels.
Yeah.
And Naturium has an azelaic acid topical acid. The name is kind of confusing. They have emulsion that's azelaic acid, and the topical acid is the derivative, and they're both used at 10%. So again, that's like on the high side. We would say that's not necessarily a problem, but because it's only it's tested at 3 to 5%, maybe patch test
for sure. And then finally, you might see it hanging out in other like hyperpigmentation or like general, I don't even know, like anti-aging product. So a good example of this is Paula's Choice Antioxidant Pore Purifier. This is definitely one of those that we call like just throw the kitchen sink and see what happens, because you've got things like sorboglucoside, salicylic acid. Got the azelaic acid derivative PAD, ubiquinone. So this is one of those where it just kind of feels all over the place. We're not really sure what it's trying to capitalize on. You might find this derivative in products like these. So just something to kind of keep an eye on.
Yeah, we'll say just decode that IL if you see it called out like this product based on where it is in the IL, and we'll put the ingredient list up on the screen. It's solidly in the probably close to 10 spots, and at that level it's definitely below that 3 to 5%. So we would say if you see it in a product like this, don't let PAD be the reason why you try out this product.
And I'll be honest, I think like if you wanted to make a active choice to try this realm, I'd probably recommend going the Naturium or even Beauty Geek route, because that's the only way you'll really know if this is doing anything for you. A product like Paula's Choice is honestly it's just the shotgun approach. You're just not really going to know what's going to happen, what's giving you that benefit. I mean, I'd be inclined to think that the salicylic acid might be the one that's really carrying this product instead. So I would recommend trying to go for these like higher percentage ones to get a good feel.
The Naturium version of this, I can use neat without much of an issue. Granted, my skin's not super sensitive, but Beauty Geek, I would when I had it, I don't know where it went now, but I would dilute it into Aquafix or something.
Smart.
Yeah, because with 20%, I'm like
yeah, for sure. All right, so with that, hopefully this was helpful and at least answering questions about this derivative, since this is very much a new one out there. Doesn't get talked a lot about. But otherwise, we are going to be continuing our journey through some hyperpigmentation actives. Next week will be about tranexamic acid.
Yeah, excited about that one. And the studies are more exciting there.
Look forward to that.
So let us know how you think about PAD. If you have any other questions on any other ingredients, let us know in the comments below as well. And where can they find us, Victoria?
You can find us on our website at chemistconfessions.com. Please check out our blog portion for longer form, more fully fleshed out guides on these topics. You can also email us at info@chemistconfessions.com. DM us on our Instagram at chemist.confessions. Please check out these stories where we will poll you, and all of your responses definitely do shape these episodes, like this one. And then finally, we are on TikTok, but don't DM us there.
Well, see you guys next week.
Bye.